Welcome all. So we're here to discuss the LINK MV4X4 4KUHD multi-view unit. So in order to program this, one of the first things we're going to have to do is to get into its web GUI. And of course, that's just going to require any web browser. So any LAN scanner or network scanner will work for this. You're just looking for the MAC address that you see here on the screen that starts in the 341 Bravo 22. My unit here happens to be at 100.241, and when it pops up, your default login will be admin. It will prompt you to change that password the first time you log in. And so let's just get down into some of the basic settings. So I'm going to cover the stuff that is the same across all function types of the unit. You do have the addition to mute AV. The unit does have audio de-embedding for outputs 1 and 2, and your options are going to be screw capture analog, or there's also a digital coaxial output. You do have the option to, of course, change resolution for the outputs. The default is that it's set to auto, so it's going to pull from whatever it sees the display can do. But should you be going through a beta in an older display, something it can't read, you can manually adjust that per output. And then, of course, as per all of our previous matrices, you do still have presets for save and quick load. Now, the fun one that everybody wants to know is when you're doing matrix, this is a standard 4-in, 4-out matrix. You do have CEC control. So if you have any displays that support CEC and they are connected directly via an HDMI cable, you can turn those displays on and off. Now what we get to is the fun one. So this is the video tiler, which will allow you to do up to 4 sources on a single display. Now the warning was just letting me know, which we're going to see it again when we go from matrix to any other mode, that we are shutting matrix mode off. So what happens at this point is you can see your descriptive layouts at the top. So you get your large on the left, 3 on the right, equilateral quad view, picture-in-picture, or the 2x2 dual view I'm on right now. And depending on which one is selected, you'll see here that I have a and B on the right side, and that's being fed to HDMI output 1 and 2. They're now mirrored. Now, what is good to note is that you also kind of have an indicator on the screen of this is considered image panel A, this is considered image panel B, and the number next to it is being designated as to what input it is currently viewing. Now, what you will also notice is that output 3 and 4 basically stay in a standard matrix output function. So output 3 is a standalone, output 4 is a standalone. You can still pick any one of the 4 inputs to send to it. Now, when you're in this mode, you get a couple of options because this is kind of an offset, so it's going to create that border along the bottom and top of the image. And you do get the chance to actually make it go to full. Just note that depending on what it is you're showing, this will stretch the image out. So test that, check it, look at it visibly to make sure it's not altering your image in a way that you don't want it to. The most common use is, of course, going to be the quad. And you can see that it immediately opens up C and D so that I can pick whatever input it is that I want to go to that image. And then the other thing that's helpful here is that it can only use one audio output. So I do get to pick if I'm going to pull the audio window A, B, C, or D. So then we'll take a look over here at the video wall and you'll see that warning again. You're turning on multi-view. Outputs are going to change and go to video wall mode. Are you sure you want to do this? So video wall mode, starting left to right, top to bottom, where output 1 is your top left image, output 2 is your top right, etc. By default, your bezel adjustments will be set to 0. Mine are adjusted for the displays that are actually in this small video that's playing down in the corner. And that's to show that you can make your adjustments so that your image doesn't look like it's been chopped in half and make it look a little bit strange where people's faces or whatever might be in the middle of the picture are being covered. It is good to note that your bezel adjustments are in 1 millimeter increments when you do that measurement. This is your input selection. Obviously, it's a single input being sent to all TVs. And then on the bottom, this video wall flip is actually being able to take that display output and just rotate the image 180 degrees. So a good example would be your top 2 TVs are rotated upside down because maybe the manufacturer has something on the bottom of the bezel that creates a bump and won't let the TV sit flat. So you can rotate it upside down so your bezels are nice and smooth and flat together. So this will rotate that image so it looks like it's supposed to when they're physically mounted and playing. Now, the one thing to note about this is that in video wall mode, we can rotate that image. If you are in any other mode, if you're in Tyler mode, or if you're using this in matrix mode, you do not have the option to flip that display 180 degrees for the image. Now, beyond that, we've got general settings. You still get to name your sources. You still get to name your zones. It does tell you that it is a 15 limit character, so kind of keep that in mind. Don't think that should be much of an issue. And then you do have your EDID presets. If one of the built-in prefabs don't work, you can actually read it from the TV as long as the TV is directly connected with a raw HDMI. You do have CEC control. You can turn CEC control off, which it is off by default, so that CEC commands won't pass through the unit or try to control the unit if you don't want them. Obviously, you have HDCP can be turned off if you're doing this for like a presentation situation where it's going to be computers, things of that nature, or computer monitors are being hooked to the other side. HDCP is not needed. And then you, of course, have network adjustments. By default, it does come in DHCP. It can be locked. You can put a custom web UI logo, on the screen. And then, of course, there's going to be firmware update, system current version, log. And that's it. This should take no more than about 5 to 6 minutes to set up total, and you should be good to go. Thanks.